Hi, I'm David Andrade, and by now you've probably seen the new Rain Clovis short, Australia Day.
Wait, what? You haven't? Go watch it right now.
Have you noticed that since the beginning we've used black outlines in every episode of Rain Clovis except for this one? What happened? Honestly, we thought it was time for an upgrade. For example, Chris Folia pushed the lighting to feel richer and more like sunset. Juan went ahead and painted a brand new background for their house. And Derek went ahead and started working with character shading and subsurface scattering to make the characters feel more alive. Our sets and props team, Greg and Dion, built some new boomerangs. Plus, a new artist to the team, Casey O'Kelly, built us a brand new duct tape boomerang, added some grass, and touched up the house.
But the outlines, they just seemed in the way. What do you think? Should we keep the outlines or should they go? We've made a survey. You can fill it out and tell us what you think. And one lucky person's going to win an Australian supporter's inflatable hand. Now, the smoke, that was done in post, using effects and layers and particular done... You know what, honestly, I have no idea how it was done. This guy, Chris Folia, he did the whole thing. And in fact, it was his birthday, so we sang him happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chris. Happy birthday to you. This is awful.
Great.
Worst.
Hopefully someone recorded that.
Oh, it's recorded.
That's great.
That's terrible.
Now, none of this would have been possible had it not been for the pitch of Dionne Theakstone. In fact, she's this month's feature interview. Dionne is a mom, a blender artist, and a true Australian. Let's listen in and see what she has to say.
So Blender was introduced to me in 2009. I did a multimedia course to basically update my Photoshop skills. We did 2D Flash, film, Photoshop, and 3D. We spent probably a day a week learning all the areas of Blender. And by the end of the year, I had made models, animations, games. So these were all the lessons that we did throughout the year. We went over all the areas of Blender. We didn't have cycles back then, and we were on 2.49, I think, and it just really grew since then. Nowadays, I look after my boys. I do freelance jobs. Basically, well, most of it is basic content management systems, and look after Corey and Clovis. Yay! This on the computer at school looked absolutely fantastic. I don't know who made it. I don't know where I got it from. And I know very little about the image. I know it's a BI render. That's about all I really know about it. But it just intrigued me. Everything about it just turned out crystal clear on the computer. And that was it. I was into Blender. That was it.
Now, you focused on modeling. Did you know that's what you wanted to do for a while, or how did you get into like modeling and texturing?
I think I just fell into it, to be honest. It was more doing a lot of courses and a lot of tutorials, and during each one there was a certain modeling process that we had to go through, so I sort of just fell into it a lot easier, I guess. This is one of the more recent ones that I've done. This one was for Australia bushfire season. During summer, it's really, really hot in Australia and we get a lot of bushfires. So I guess a lot of my inspiration came from there. The whole idea about this one was I wanted to build a house on the beach, and it was like your dream home. If you could have a dream home, that's where I'd be.
Nice.
Sitting on the beach at Byron Bay. Or I'd be up in the hills at Byron Bay. So I wanted to build a house that fitted into that area. The image is just basically a bunch of shapes. We got the shapes at the bottom, shapes at the top, The background is a alpha image of a tree line. The grass was modelled in Blender. Everything was modelled in Blender, textured and composited in Blender. I don't know how I even know this stuff myself. I make it up as I go along. I really do. The better understandings I've got of, or a better clear image I've got of what I'm trying to achieve, the better and the easier the whole process is. So I just made some shapes, and then I'll go in and I'll detail it, and I'll corner it off, and I section things out, and I do the main things like the wheels, go in and do things like the exhaust, fill in little things like this, and just generally build up the image as I go through. I start detailing the shapes and adding in more shapes, break things down into smaller sections, and just continuously build it up until I've got a complete image. With the background, it's the same process. I generally just start off with a shape, and I'll break that shape into its lines, in different sections, and different objects, and I'll go back over it and detail shapes in. All of our modifiers I really like to use and go over. They all play a role in some particular part of my modelling. But generally, it's just built with shapes. I mean, I just generally continue adding shapes. I separate things into different layers. So we've got our lights and cameras on this layer, our car and background. Just slowly build up the scene until I get what I want. And then I just go through and texture it and composite it.
In this next part, Dionne is going to show us how she made a set for a future episode of Rain Clovis. Let's listen.
So once I get the concept arts that's behind it, and then I generally go in and start blocking things out with shapes and getting a basic structure and understanding of what's going to model. A lot of our focus on this was on this table. So I knew that the microphone needed to be rigged. I knew that the headphones would need to be rigged. Little things like that. A lot of it is, to start with for me, is breaking things down into the table. We want a little network box here. You know, I think in the one of the concepts we had a cabinet in the back. And I just generally start filling things in. I generally just continue breaking it down. We like everything in individual groups. So everything has its own group. The wall has its own group. So I go through and I section, you know, the front wall, the back wall, each section's out. Just continuously break things down. I find everything is just a shape, you know. Everything is just shapes, and I just build on the shapes and start detailing shapes in from there. So these were some of the images that I've rendered off during the process. I pay more attention to the things that are closer to camera, and generally just make up lists, go down through a stage. I think these network boxes actually modelled the boxes where we could have gone in and maybe gotten away with an image. So DJ Ray was a big learning curve for me as well.
What inspires you to keep doing this?
I think with me, it's generally I love learning. I generally love getting into Blender and working out, wonder what this button does, what can I do with this, and working out things. I like the learning path of it. And that's what continues me going back to Blender.
Miss Dion, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me, sir.
Thank you so much for watching our behind-the-scenes look with Theory Animation. As always, subscribe to show your love, fill out the survey, let us know what you think, and be good. Until next time, I'm David Andrade from